So Kaguya-sama Love is War Season 2 has come to a brilliant conclusion with episode 12, and I think most of us are probably dying with our mouths wide open, drool just coming out wanting that Season 3 confirmation and wondering when it will come out. But, like with Season 1, they went out with a pretty solid ass bang. Yes, last week was kind of like the big hoorah, but I mean, at the same time, you honestly had a great conclusion with Kaguya wanting to cherish her memories with photos, which is pretty much the exact opposite of who we met at the beginning of the anime, and then going out with something that you think is a little cheesy and fun, but like, you're kind of wondering why blowing up a balloon, why would that be the big finisher, and then you realize that they were really just building up to go out with a bang, and I'm not sure if they used something from the manga for that little gag. If it is from the manga, they just made it their own anime little gimmick where it exploded and the credits were rolling, or if that's something completely new for the anime. But nonetheless, it was a surprisingly solid way to go out for the season, because last week, the majority of this episode, very heavy, very emotionally draining, but also inspiring, and then you get a cute way to end and just show how far this group has come, but knowing that their next school year is going to be one hell of a ride, and I can't wait to see it. This season was remarkable. Season 1 of Kaguya-sama was my favorite comedy anime, without a doubt in my mind. Ending Season 2, it remains in that place, and depending on where the future of the story and characters go, it might become one of my favorite rom-coms period of all time in terms of drama and things like that. This show was absolutely remarkable in every way, shape, and form. All the creativity, the almost Shaft-like animation and presentation, was alive and well. The characters got better and more elegant over time because it actually felt like the story arcs were connecting and a lot more interlinked, rather than just feeling like you could take any of the stories in Season 1, rearrange them, and it would still feel like it flowed exactly the same, because it feels like, oh, Miyuki and Kaguya going at it, you have the hilarious Chika, the sad boy you, right? You have all that stuff, but it feels like it's not because like there's progression, it's like, oh, it's funny moments because they're still in the intro. But with Season 2, there was a flow. You couldn't really rearrange most of what we saw because the events of the previous episode led into the current episode, and it kept doing that time and time again. So it gave it a very solid flow, so it didn't just feel like a comedy anime, but rather there was actual development, there was progression, and actually felt like the previous events absolutely mattered. And some of the great examples in this episode is the fact when Kaguya was going to blow up the balloon, she held onto her face, something that was from the previous episode. You couldn't put this gag before that moment, otherwise we'd be like, why is she holding her face, and why was that making her calm? Simple moments such as that, or even in the episode when Yu's kind of building up to be the strong boy, the narrator's like, oh, the events of the sports festival, I guess they meant nothing. There's all these little moments that show that even when we're laughing our ass off, it shows us that the events from the prior episodes are actually linked up. And this is more than just a comedy anime, this is Kaguya-sama Love is War, and the events, the development, and everything like that actually have importance and matter in the long term. And that's why a show like this sticks out and is having fandoms across the globe just say, please, for the love of God, give us that Season 3, because there's no show like Kaguya-sama, it is its own unique entity, and we need to see a full adaptation, please and thank you. I honestly had no idea how they were going to end this episode, because walking in, I was like, what are you going to do after Yu's amazing content? Best Boy rose last week, and how are you going to lead off of that? And you do something with Kaguya, which is very simple by design, but it is so sweet and precious, and comparing what happened to her at the end of Season 1 and comparing to what happened to her at the end of Season 2, it's great to see the progression, because she's had this flip phone forever. It was just for basic necessity, but she started to cherish photos, something she thought she never would want, because why are people wasting their time taking photos? But she never had anything that she wanted to capture and be able to look back upon fondly. And she had all these amazing memories, and building up, you have just wild principles in this school, just wanting to take pictures, and you're going overboard. At times it seems a little creepy, but you're just having good fun for the end of the anime. You're just laughing, you're having fun, you're seeing these adorable poses, and then the phone falls to the ground, and you know it's broken, there's no way, but Kaguya just being, trying to be strong-willed, being like, oh, it's fine, I can get a new phone, and oh, I'll get Lion, it'll be easier to get the president to fall in love with me, but she is crushed. She's had a lot of memories. It's understandable, not only just losing those photos, but just feeling like, why did I even try? Why did I even try to give into this feeling? Because this is why I locked myself away. And that's where this episode took a turn I wasn't expecting, because I figured most likely Miyuki would do something tech savvy, or he would know someone tech savvy, and the pictures would be saved, and they're building up to something like that. And that's something that's happened a lot in Season 2. I thought I knew exactly what was going to happen because I know these characters. I know how they function, I know how they act, Yet they throw me a curveball, I'm like, well, of course, that's the only logical outcome, but why was I thinking the other thing? But it's because season 1 made us very understanding of the characters' personas. We know how they act, we know how they operate, and then season 2 kicks it into high gear and say, you know what, you know these characters, but there's a lot more than meets the eye. Even though you already think they're interesting, they're gonna do things you can't actually predict. And the fact that Miyuki, for all this time, was waiting for Kaguya to get a smartphone before he would make a group chat, and when that group chat was made, all these photos would be put into it, and even though Kaguya had pictures that only she had, she ended up with more pictures than she ever could have possibly hoped for. And that's one of the sweetest moments I have seen in this anime to date. I'm not going to say it's the absolute sweetest, because there's a lot of moments that you can really look at and say that's the one, but it's up there for sure. It's definitely in the top 10 without a doubt, maybe even top 5 depending on how you look at it. It's something that feels just so rewarding, as if all the episodes, we've now gone through 24 episodes of Kaguya-sama, and it feels like that moment of just sharing the pictures and her just being in awe. It felt rewarding. It felt as if all the hardship, it wasn't even just the hardship of this episode, not being able to be in the photos because, well, I mean, her family kind of makes it so she can't be in publicity stuffs to advertise for the school and things like that. And it's unfortunate because even the big man in charge was like, hey, you know, there's only one person who should have played the girlfriend of our boy Miyuki, and it's you. After she's ready to basically strangle him, being like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed and flustered, I like you now. It's great, it's funny, and then it just ends in shattering realization. To have such a kind gesture just end in such heartbreak, and to see how depressed she went back to something that felt very familiar to the first couple episodes of season 1, where she was cold, she was emotionless, she didn't show anything, and it's just because she was scared. Finally started opening up, she was taking pictures, she was cherishing the pictures, and because of that she got her heart broken, so she almost reverted back to who we first met when this anime began. But Miyuki, our boy Miyuki, came in lightning fast to be the hero for the club room, and it was great. And even get some funny Miko content where she's like, I thought you guys just left me out of the group chat, right? There's all these like little side remarks that you're laughing at, but at the end of the day, the thing that you hold on to is the beauty of the development. The fact that we have our girl almost regress back to where she started off at, but then skyrocketed further past where she was at before this episode even began, because she got to smile, she got to be happy. It was just so heartwarming, and it felt like a reward. And the episode, by all rights, should have ended there. That was a good way. How can you top that? And then they show us the balloon. And I was thinking to myself, I will hold off my judgment. I want to see what you're going for here. Why are we playing a game? And when Chica started talking about basically blowing it up, you know, I was like, okay, are we getting a Chica dance? And then we just have a balloon. And it's a fun game. I do like that game of like, I remember playing it in Mario Party. I just love the idea that, you know, you can do it as much as you want, then you give it to the next person, and Chica just wants to see everyone suffer. And I was having fun, I was laughing, and I completely forgot about the whole idea of like, I wonder why they're giving us this after an emotional goodbye almost. And it was amazing to see the transition of just how overboard they made that explosion, because it was such a remarkable way to go out with a bang, leaving us wanting that season 3, and it was such an anime way to go out. But just the lead up to that moment was great, because these characters were shitting themselves because of the fear of not wanting to look bad in the other's eyes, and then you have our boy, after going through the sports festival, just feeling like he was back to square one, but he did pump it up at least once, so it shows that he is still growing along the way. But Chica, mad lunatic, just wanting to make it so she can just see some chaos, and she does a remarkable job at encouraging said chaos. But I love how everyone pretty much encourages Miko in this episode. She's like, keep going, keep going, keep going. It was absolutely hilarious. I love it. It was a simple way. There's nothing overly complex about that finisher, but it felt like, you know what, we've had emotional, we've had heartfelt, we've had lovey-dovey, and then you go out with a hilarious joke. They didn't even need to make the explosion remarkable. I thought when it blew up it was going to be like some sort of powder that would like cloud the club room, not the entire world for Kaguya-sama. But what better way to make us, you know, say, you know what, they went out with as explosive of a finale as they probably could. I know a lot of people coming into this episode who know the source material, they thought last week would have been the finisher. But honestly, seeing episode 11, then seeing the Kaguya content, and then seeing the just really cheesy but funny way to go out and just wrap up with a bang, what better conclusion than what we just saw? This season was, without a doubt in my mind, while people may want to say, Brandon, well, hold the phone, I think it was a 10 out of 10. It was hilarious. It was heartfelt. It felt like everything we wanted to see, and a lot more. And I can only imagine how much better season 3 and maybe even a season 4, if we get blessed to have that much anime, could be in the future. Kaguya-sama is still one of my favorite shows to review. It's one of my favorite anime that has ever been made, and I really hope we get to see more content in the future. But as always, let me know your thoughts on this explosive finale down below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.